This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Wasabi Technologies is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from those old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams around the world. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, Wasabi is driving innovation in data storage. All for up to 80% less than those other guys. Try them out for free at wasabi.com.
It's a viral world in which we live, and sometimes that nauseates us. Other times, I think it might even inspire us. I think this story falls into the latter category. A lot of Paige Bueckers' coverage in recent days, recent weeks, because, of course, she led UConn to a national championship, women's college basketball. And then last night, she is, as expected, drafted number 1 by Dallas. I don't even remember the Dallas nickname.
The Wings.
It's the Wings, the Dallas Wings. And our next guest is getting a lot of pub, a lot of attention because of a tweet he sent out literally more than a decade ago that seemed basically to predict exactly the career arc of one Hopkins' own Paige Bueckers. Gary Knox is joining us via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline, now a big shot photographer at KARE 11. Gary, thank you for the time. We appreciate you. Are you getting tired of your fame, or are you kind of enjoying the moment?
Well, I'm kind of enjoying the moment, but I'll just be upfront that I'm kind of a fish out of water. Being on this side of the fence, I'm used to being on the other side of the fence. But I'm pretty happy for Paige, and I'm pretty happy for Minnesota, too, because, it's Paige came from Minnesota, and it's good for everyone.
It's outstanding for everyone. So take us back to that time when you what you tweeted, what the circumstances were, because I think you had very different responsibilities at that point. Give us the time frame, what you tweeted out, and what you were doing at that point.
It was back in 2013. I was at an open gym at Hopkins High School watching my daughter, who was in high school at the time. So they had a varsity court, they had a sophomore court, and they had a JV court. And a couple of dads came over and was talking to me and said, "Hey, did you see the sixth grade over there on the freshman court tearing it up?" I said, "No, what sixth grader?" And so I walked over there. Within 1 second, boom, I saw, you could notice her right off the way because she was just playing different. She was like a child prodigy, just, tearing it up. Every time she seemed to always have the ball in her hand. Every time she touched the ball, something good happened. Not necessarily scoring, but she'll make a pass. They try to trap her. She'll get rid of it. She'll move without the ball. She was doing all the old school stuff, passing and cutting, moving without the ball. And the older girls would try to rough her up a little bit because she was just cooking them. But she used that to her advantage. Like, they'll bump her off her spot, and then that would, easily create space and then she just let it fly, nothing but net. So she was just different.
And the tweet you sent out, I believe, read as follows. Remember the name Paige Bueckers, 6th grade, think Diana Taurasi, best 6th grade G girl I have ever seen. I mean, you know how wonderful it is to offer up a tweet that far in advance and be that right? I mean, that's good stuff, man.
Well, believe it or not, it wasn't really far-fetched because she was that good. And at the time, I was really, comparing Paige to, Diana Taurasi's as an analogy.
Sure, yeah.
Because, I thought I'd draw a comparison between, Paige's potential and Taurasi's greatness. That's what I was really trying to do. And then, the tweet, when I sent it out at the time, I didn't get criticized because it sat dormant. No one saw it.
That's so.
No one saw it.
When did people notice it again? When did it start picking up some viral action?
The tweet didn't pick up viral action until maybe 5 years later, when Paige, freshman year at UConn, when she was Player of the Year and made it all the way to the Final Four. And then all of a sudden, I kept getting dings on my phone, these notifications, this random notification, rapid fire, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? And that's when it really blew up, her freshman year at UConn. And then every year since, especially this year, it would pick up steam.
So did you do anything because there are people out there who will self-promote. They'll say, hey, look what I said. In this case, was it more you knew you obviously tweeted it out, but it was other people who were reminding you, bringing it to everybody's attention?
I think it was the UConn Mafia. When Paige's freshman year in the Final Four, where it started with them, and they tweeted it out, and then one thing led to another, and then it went viral that year, and then this year it really went viral. The biggest thing was Senator Amy Klobuchar giving me a shout-out last night. That was amazing.
I did see that. I saw it today. You said she mentioned it last night. Gary Knox is a photojournalist these days for KARE 11. You did have other responsibilities then, though, correct?
You mean at the time of the tweet?
Yes.
Yes. At the time of the tweet, it wasn't affiliated with KARE, but I was running a girls' basketball website on my own, just as a hobby.
Right.
And I would from time to time do a little write-up, try to promote the girls' game just as a hobby. So that's one of the reasons. Then I had the Twitter thing going, and so when I stumbled into Paige, I said, wow, I got to put this on record. And I went over and talked to her dad, Bob, because he was at Hopkins at the time and got permission to take her picture and tweet out something.
That's a good point. Yeah, she was pretty young at that point. Have you had a chance over the years to talk with Paige about that tweet?
No, I've talked to her over the years at Hopkins High School, but not about the tweet. The tweet just went. The tweet back then, it was kind of irrelevant because no one was talking about it. It was just something I tweeted out and believed in, and it didn't pick up steam until her freshman year at UConn. I'd like to get her take on it now that
I would too.
Came to fruition.
Yeah, I would love to hear what I'm surprised she hasn't been. I bet you she will be asked about it. Maybe in one of her first press conferences in Dallas. That wouldn't surprise me. We all talk about this. It's mindless because there's no way that the Lynx, at least right now, are going to be able to get her. But the idea of, we went through this with Waylon, too, back in the day, of, the dream of having her play immediately in this town. Eventually, it did come to fruition, and it was tremendous. That's got to still be, I think, the dream for a lot of people around here, right? That at some point, Paige Bueckers could play with Minnesota as her home WNBA franchise.
That's my dream. I'd love to see her play at home. Matter of fact, I just purchased ticket for her first game on May 21st at the Target Center.
Is that right? Oh, perfect. Maybe you can talk to her then. Maybe they'll work out some arrangement where you could. There's got to be a meet and greet opportunity there. I got to believe, Gary.
Yeah, I'd love to, just to bring it up, pick her brain, and see if she ever did see the tweet. But, kudos to her. She put in all the hard work.
Yep.
I have a saying that, hard work pays off, and it definitely paid off for her, all the hard work she put in.
It's a great little story, man. I'm glad we got a chance to catch up. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of stuff going. So thank you for giving us the time, and we'll hopefully talk down the road at some point. Thanks again, Gary.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Much appreciated. Gary Knox is a photojournalist for KARE 11, and this tweet that goes back long time ago, as we said, all the way back to September 23, 2013, now getting a lot of attention when he noticed her as a sixth grader. And as he said, my guess is, Guardsy, that you didn't necessarily have to be a basketball savant to see something different then. But it's still a great story that he went on the record to the degree that he did then. And this is one of those occasions where, it becomes a great story down the road. And like I said, I got to believe at some point she'll be asked about it and maybe have a chance to talk to Gary as well.
Now they'll probably make a T-shirt out of it. Like,
yeah, they
you
should.
can do that now, where you get the graphics and you throw the T-shirt out of it. Those are the fun ones when you
hit it.
Well, just not even that, but we've all seen great players that became great players when they were 12. Mm-hmm. And you can just, if you're around it in any sport, and you just know that person is different and that person is destined for a much bigger life than whatever gym, field, rink, court they are on at that moment. It's always fun. Obviously, no one can ever anticipate she's going to be the number one overall draft pick and be Paige Bueckers, who she became, but it's really cool.
What I liked about what Gary picked up, was the comment he made about, she was younger and smaller than some of the other players, and they tried to get physical with her, and she would have none of it. Just basically
tried to rough her up.
Had no impact on the way she dominated the ball and dominated the game. We have another opportunity to put $1,000 in somebody's hand. Is that right?
Yes. The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks, our national cash contest. Final keyword of the evening is cash. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword cash.
Don't worry, Fallness. You'll get your significant hockey fix at the bottom of the hour when Luigi joins.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar. I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
The show.
The Fan. Show us is your purple preset. That's your chance to win Vikings draft party tickets. You can set KFAN as a preset on the iHeartRadio app. Very easy to do. Screenshot it. Post with the hashtag KFAN purple preset to your social media. Make sure you follow and tag us as well at KFAN. Winners will be DM daily. Get the full rules at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
Louis, bottom of the hour. How many times have we talked about on the A-section side of things, the Sharks versus the Jets side of things, the propensity to overcorrect whatever perceived wrongs have taken place in the last administration? And we've talked about a lot of them as it pertains to what goes on college campuses, the sort of loyalty oaths demanded of individuals when it came to some DEI-related policies, which I found extremely un-American. But we're in that phase where we're in the overcorrection phase. Latest example being the news that the president is threatening to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status. They would place a $2.26 billion freeze on university grants and contracts. And like I said, I think some of what's going on in universities in terms of free expression, allowing individuals, professors, for example, to disagree with policies that might be in place, for example, on DEI policies, has been way over the line. We've talked about that for years. But the bit now seems very much like the kind of overcorrection that I don't think is useful, that does anybody any favors. Somebody said via X, we are going to destroy left-wing DEI at Harvard by mandating right-wing DEI and a bunch of other unrelated stuff. That's not consistent. You can say we're getting even, and more than any other emotion related to this administration, let's face it, it's about getting even, right? And you can feel better about it, say, that's what they did. That's what they did to us. That's what they deserve. But then by that logic, you've actually lowered your standard. You've played their game, if you want to look at it that way, and maybe even more so in this case. The idea is that there should not be mandates going on. And I get it. This is all under the cloak of fighting anti-Semitism, which I think is a noble thing to fight. But I guess I'm not convinced that this feels more like an excuse to go after those university types, those pointy heads. We don't like them. We don't like their political thinking. And so we're going to get even with them. So we're going to impose our values. Do people not understand how inconsistent that is? If you are bothered by previous values being imposed to too great a degree, is it any better if you do the same thing? No, it's the kind of the classic overcorrection. Also, did you see J.D. Vance gets into Twitter battles? I don't know if you've noticed.
I hadn't.
He mentioned one. This is from 10 hours ago. The entire American media and left-wing industrial complex, God, that's weighty stuff right there, has decided the most important issue today is that the Trump administration deported an MS-13 gang member and illegal alien. And somebody, I don't know who this person is, named Mikhail Gillette, he's got like 235,000 followers. He says, no, the ruling, let me back up. No, the ruling clearly states that you are required to take steps to facilitate his return and update the court, which voted 9-0 unanimously on this issue, on your progress. You have plenty of tools at your disposal, diplomatic and otherwise, to do this without invading El Salvador. You, of course, know this because you are a Yale-educated lawyer. At which point J.D. Vance replies, are you proposing that we invade El Salvador to retrieve a gang member with no legal right to be in our country? To which I would say, no, because we know you're too busy working on the war plans to invade Greenland right now, probably. And by the way, does that editor at The Atlantic already have those plans? They already sent to him? I'm not exactly sure.
In that Signal app or whatever it was?
It's just the art of the deal guy, Donald J. Trump and company, now are acting like, well, there's no way we can get him back. We can't do it. It's impossible. The art of the deal guy suddenly says, the guy who says, I can get stuff done that no one else ever has or ever will.
I'll have it done in the first 24
minutes,
hours.
Right? Now it's possible. I know what to do. And again, sensible people, they're out there. I know they're out there, have actually endorsed the tightening up at the border. They believe in it. I believe in it. But I think sensible people also say, whatever you think you have on individuals, there is a process. We're not here to say, yeah, bring the gang members in and let them kill people. But I think sensible people say, follow the law, follow procedure, and if you get caught, in this case, going too far too fast, then rectify it. That doesn't change the larger issue. And I think that's part of the reason, if you look at many of the polls, a lot of Trump's numbers are underwater right now. Because sensible people who are not against the border stuff, tightening the border and getting criminals out of the country if possible, are saying, but let's have there's no rush. Let's have a reasonable procedure in place. And when the Supreme Court of the land says 9-0, you didn't follow the law in this case, you're going to tell me with a straight face, nothing we can do about it. The can-do guy, nothing we can do about it. No, he doesn't want to do anything about it. So that's sort of where we are. We might get back into some of this subject with Pat Kessler on tomorrow's show. And there's also some local stuff. Maybe we'll have time between 6 and 6:30 today to get into some local interesting comments that are, again, feeding our future related. And then there's another scandal locally that we might want to talk about too. So we'll try to cover that either later today or perhaps even on tomorrow's broadcast. If you have questions for Luigi, Minnesota Wild situation, we'll kind of go through the parameters of how they can clinch tonight and end this nonsense. Because there are several ways we can officially make the 2024-25 playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll get into that with Louie. We'll get into the Zeev Buium controversy. There's a lot of Zeev terrorists who are outraged that he's not going to play tonight. I find this outrage a little bit silly. We'll see where Louie is on the whole deal. And guess what? As a hockey ambassador, I'm as curious to see what he can do at the blue line as anybody else, right?
You've been waiting longer than anybody.
We've all been waiting.
You watched that double overtime game in the Frozen Four.
I just like saying Zeev Buium.
It's a great name.
It's a great name,
Unbelievable.
Is it not?
Zeev, yes.
Yeah, it's just perfect. All that with Louie. If you have questions for him, hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. That number continues to be 64686. By the way, we got another statue idea. Did you see this one?
I don't know.
For a Viking statue? Let me see if I can find it.
I'm sure I'll love it.
Where did it go? I thought I had it. Where does it go? Oh man, I now I can't find it, but I will bring it to you because it was something to the effect of, when it comes to Viking statues, what about Kirk Cousins, who was a statue for 6 years in Minnesota? He might be coming back, man. Don't rule out the possibility that he ends up being our backup quarterback for the 2025 season.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars. to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is Lou Nanne?
We'll find out in just moments. He's brought to you by Kemp's. Questions for Louie. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is open. And the number to reach us there, or for you to reach Louie, is 646-86. Luigi, perhaps you can help me on this mystery, unraveling this particular mystery, because I'm finding it a bit bewildering. As I understand it, the decision has been made by your favorite professional hockey team to not play Zeev Buium tonight. And I think it's a rational decision. I think, given the circumstances, I understand it. I mean, it wasn't like I'd be offended if they said, no, you know what, we're gonna get him some time tonight. But I'm not offended by the decision, and yet there's a lot of Z fans who have lost their minds on this thing, and I'm trying to figure out why. I mean, I get the curiosity. I get what he might offer this club. I know you want to get to it. People are eager. But, my God, it's not like this would be the last game he would ever play in a Minnesota Wild uniform.
You know, Dan, I totally expected this. I saw what the schedule was and where they were sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I expected it, I was surprised by it. And I'll tell you why I was surprised. Because when his contract was negotiated, I guarantee you the agent and he were pushing that they want him to get at least one game, because if he gets one game in the lineup, he burns a year on the contract, which means he gets to renegotiate a year sooner. You know, they got $925 is the most he can make this year, and he gets like $275,000 bonus over 3 years. He does have other bonuses for winning a rookie, etc. But he's not in the area where he's going to be if he comes in and has a couple of years or even a year and a half like Brock Faber had. Look at Brock had, a year and a half and renegotiated and the money he's getting. This was the biggest surprise to me, because I knew that if this happened, unless he can, and I don't even know if he's eligible now without playing the game, if he can get in the game in the playoffs, if they make the playoffs, then they would eat up that year. But you have to look at the other side of it. John Hines is sitting there. He's coaching the team. Billy, of course, is Garen's manager. And all they think about right now, and it's all they should be thinking about, is we got to make the playoffs. And are you willing to put a defenseman in the lineup? I could see if it was a forward, I guarantee he'd be in the lineup. But a defenseman in the lineup or a goaltender in the lineup with so much at stake, and that's what's going on, and I can understand that. As much as I wanted to see him play tonight, I would have been surprised if he was in the lineup. I was thinking, until I heard about it all day long, the kid's not going to play, not where they're sitting right now, because and by the way, that's putting extreme pressure on this guy for his first game that he played tonight.
Yes.
If he makes one, this could be a 1-0 game, 2-1 game,
exactly,
1-goal game, and he's out there and makes the mistake at the time. He's not familiar with any of the players on the team. He hasn't played one shift with them. He doesn't know how they're going to position, how they're going to back people up, how they react, where they're throwing the puck, when to move, when not to move. That would have been asking a huge, huge risk to me had he been inserted in a lineup with what's at stake.
Well, that's the irony of this to me, because, again, some of the same people who are squawking, if that happened tonight and somehow they end up, the other two teams they're trying to stay ahead of both win tonight, which then obviously opens the door, and the Wild don't get a point tonight. These same people are going, how in the hell could you do this?
Yeah.
Right? They'd be saying, you can't take a risk like that. So I just think, if you think of it rationally and logically, that this decision is quite defensible and makes all the sense in the world. And I know the comeback is, well, if they'd taken care of business earlier to where this game didn't matter, then you'd have that extra game to play with there. Yeah, we get that. It's one game, though. I just think there's been way too much discussion on it already.
Oh, so there definitely has, and unfortunately, can you remember? It was back 30 games ago when we were discussing a playoff situation. I said, "Well, they're sitting right now, with 66 points, and they got to get to 96." I said, "I think 96 will be the magic number," and that's just playing 500 hockey the rest of the way, because they started off, by the way, 18-4-4. So when you look at that, they had 36 points in the first 26 games. So then they just needed to play 500 hockey the rest of the way, which if they don't win tonight, they haven't done. And that 1 point is going to cost them the playoffs, because if they get one tonight, then they're going to be in the playoffs.
So are you worried tonight?
Yes.
How come?
And the reason why I'm worried is because Anaheim, I've been watching the last couple of weeks and tuned in some of their games. They got some great young forwards, and they can score goals, and they're playing very well right now, and they're playing with no pressure. Teams at the end of the year with no pressure are always playing better. Just look at how many teams are playing good. That's why St. Louis has got to be worried, because Utah's playing really well too right now, and I think St. Louis, I believe, is at home tonight. That's still going to be a tough game for them, but on top of that, Anaheim's got a goaltender that, he can steal a game. And so you have to worry that you never know what's going to... The Wild are under all this extreme pressure. Anaheim's got no pressure. Anaheim's playing very, very well last couple. They've got a real young team, and they got a boatload of young forwards that are talented and can move the puck and score goals. And they are capable of scoring 3, 4, 5 goals in a game, and I say easily, because they got that kind of ability. So if the Wild happen to lose that, and I was hoping, well, Calgary's got 2 tough games. Calgary's got the toughest schedule, but if they beat Vegas tonight, and I think Vegas will have to, I would be surprised if they set people up.
Well, they are. They've already, but I think that they've already announced they're sitting a bunch of people.
Well, then you know what's going to happen if they are. Then you know LA's going to do it the next game too.
Yes.
And so now Calgary looks like things are falling in line for them. I was looking at Vegas. I think is 4 points ahead of LA, and they must have the tiebreaker, because if they don't, I don't see how they can sit people out and risk losing first place. Because and if Vegas were to lose tonight, LA definitely is going to sit people out. But if Vegas were to win, I mean, if Vegas wins, LA will sit people out, and of course Calgary would be out, so it doesn't matter. But it's interesting. That's why they still play these 3-point games. 3-point games being having a point for overtime. That's why they don't count them 3, 2, 1. This is how you sell tickets at the end of the year when your team's out of the playoffs.
Yeah, so I guess the moral of the story is just go out, play well tonight, and just end the nonsense, right? Just go out and just take care of business tonight.
Yeah, because they came back with a big win.
They did.
After they had, bombed in a game, they came back with a major win, and coming from two goals down. 2 goals down in the third. Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was huge, and that was. I mean, that's a difference maker. Can you imagine had they lost that game?
Man, no. Then you lose control of your own destiny. Well, what's interesting about that comeback, I was mentioning it either earlier today or yesterday's show, that the Wild utterly dominated in the third period, right? But you know this better than most. There are games you can dominate the hell out of the action, but you just can't seem to get the first goal to get it started. And for a while, I felt like that was the position they were in. They're going to end up utterly destroy, just all the action in that end, peppering the goalie, but not scoring. And in the end, on the box, it doesn't matter. In the box score, it's like, well, they dominated the third period. If you don't win the game, they ain't going to give you anything for it. And that's how it struck me until obviously they did get the first goal, which I thought sort of broke the ice a little bit and put them in a position then to finish the job in regulation.
But I can understand you thinking like that, because that wasn't just that game that you think that way. There's been so many games here where they've already played, where they've either dominated the game and didn't score, or the other team dominated them and they ended up getting a win. That happens far too often. And when you have a playoff position on the line, and you know that every click of the clock is getting you closer to him losing an important game, and you can't seem to find a way to put the puck in the net, you start pressing more. You start thinking, this is going to be it. We're in really deep trouble. You start grabbing a stick tighter. You make mistakes like Rory made yesterday, and when it seemed that it was all over, and before you know it, you're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. You're 100% right about that. By the way, all the action, of course, will be on the Fan tonight. A couple texts have come in. This is from, let's see here, double check the name, Perry from Cottonwood. Dan, Louie, and JG. I think the people wanting Zeev in the lineup are forgetting how lost Brock Faber looked in his first game with the Wild. That team had a cushion. We were able to cover up for those mistakes that Faber made. This team does not have that luxury. Thank you for the show. That's what we were talking about earlier, that there's too much at stake tonight to flirt with whatever, it's all it takes, like you said. Now, maybe it won't. Maybe they'll dominate tonight, okay? But you have to prepare for the possibility that it's a close game and that maybe one play can end up being the difference. And when you are literally playing for your playoff lives, you just can't tempt the hockey gods.
Well, not only that, how would you like to be him going into the lineup? And if he inadvertently made a mistake that caused him to lose and they end up losing a playoff position, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
That's true.
He had no opportunity to really prepare to play in a game of that magnitude. And it's not that rookies don't come in and play extremely well. And hey, look, I had Cicerelli. We brought him to the playoffs. He's set the scoring record. But again, he's a forward. That's what he's supposed to do, scoring goals. People weren't looking at him if he missed a check, if a guy came down and scored the goal. It's not nearly as evident. It's not nearly as noticeable to the average hockey fan. And they certainly, I had a saying that's always, closer you get to the net, the bigger the mistake is. Because when you're forward, you got the defensive goalie. When you're defense, you got the goalie. When you got the goalie, you got nobody. And so if the defenseman makes a mistake, and he causes a goal, and flat out was a mistake that shouldn't have been made, and it turns out to be something that's going to affect his history, I don't think it's worthwhile to take that gamble.
100% true. Let's get to a couple other items that Guardsy has actually brought to my attention. You probably already knew this. The Providence Bruins with a tweet from 25 minutes ago. Congratulations to Vinny Lettieri on being named the team's winner of the IOA/American Specialty AHL Man of the Year Award for his outstanding contributions to the community and charitable organizations this season. That sure as hell sounds like a member of your family.
Well, I have to tell you, I didn't know anything about it. Am I surprised? No, because this guy he's just an amazing individual, I have to tell you. No matter what team he's with or players he's with, he has a knack for bringing them together. He looks after them. He just feels, a need to do that. And he loves his teammates and they love him. And he's, no matter where he's played, I mean, just like when he got married, all these guys were coming from all different teams. And, they sit down and talk to him, and all they tell me is how much they love Vinny. And so I'm happy for him. I didn't know about it. I'm not surprised. I didn't even know that kind of award, but I know that he would be the kind of guy that deserves that award.
So, yeah, good news there. Congratulations. I know you're very proud Also, a reminder, you I'm sure do know this, that USA Hockey officially announced that your guy Bobby Motzko will coach the USA in next winter's World Junior Championship. Of course, games will be played, as you've told us several times, at both the X and at Mariucci Arena as well.
And that's great for him, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that tournament. I am going to stay home for that because that is really one of the most exciting things you'll see in hockey, and to watch those kids, how hard and how well they perform in that kind of environment, and to have it in Minnesota. I'm so happy that we have that in Minnesota, and the state deserves it. We haven't had it for 40 years, almost, and 41, whatever it is. But it is something that we should all be proud of and should all really take an interest in, because every great player in the world that's a junior will be in that tournament, essentially. And all the guys that are in the NHL, you can't believe the kind of atmosphere it is around their teams when one of their teammates' team is playing their team. You know, there's betting, there's guys that really very involved in them, because the majority of them have all played in that tournament.
By the way, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but how much NIL money do we have in college hockey?
I don't know that figure. I'm hearing that we're going to start getting some. Essentially, the hockey teams weren't part of it, but now, because of what we see happening in all the sports, hockey is going to get some money. And you look at that football player in Tennessee who wanted $4 million, and I'm glad the coach let him go. I mean, that's you see what's happening to sports. And Saban is down here; he lives here now, and he quit. He says because of NIL money, and unfortunately you would have thought that the NCAA Congress, everybody would have found some way to make it so that it was reasonable and taking care of the kids okay, but also making certain that it wasn't going to wreck college athletics, which unfortunately I think it's doing.
So let's go back to the Wild, and because we've not spoken, obviously, since the Big Two got back on the ice with a dramatic debut, Eriksson Ek, and, of course, Kaprizov. What are your observations of what we've seen early from them?
Well, it was really a great surprise to see him score like that right away. I mean, Eriksson Ek getting 4 goals. He should have had 5 in that game. And Kaprizov, and getting the winning goal in overtime. These guys are so important to the team, and it just lifts the team to another level. And when you look at that game in Vancouver, even though you're down 2-0, you realize you got those 2 guys on the team. And sure enough, Kaprizov makes a fantastic pass through 2 people to put it right into Gorilla, stick all over in front. He puts it away, and that's just what they bring to the table. You're never out of it when you got those guys. And each game they get closer and closer to the level that they should be at, even though they scored like Eriksson did something he's never done before. Overall, it still takes a little time to get to where you are at the top of your skills, and they're getting there quickly, which is good.
Texter has also asked this question of you. Will anyone step up when players take runs at Eriksson Ek and Kaprizov? That's Brian from Mantorville. Is that a problem again?
Well, it's a problem right now. I mean, I hope nobody steps up tonight if something like that happens, because all you'd be doing is going in the penalty box for an extra 2 minutes. Yeah. You can't afford to take penalties right now, and you can't afford in the playoffs either. You have to understand that players have to take care of themselves. You can't play with looking over your shoulder for your buddy to come and help you out. When you step on the ice, you're on the ice saying, I can play with you. I can play any way you want to play. I might, if I have to get in a fight, I might lose. Who cares? But I'll do whatever I have to do to make sure that I'm earning your respect, and you're earning my respect. And I think that as you get in the playoffs, that's why you don't see many fights. You'll see an occasional one, or if there's a 3, 4, 5 goal differential in the game, it's late in the game. Yeah, somebody might come back and do something for you if you're a small guy and somebody took liberty with you. But overall, you can't afford to take penalties anymore right now. You're in the situation where a bad penalty can cost you the game, can cost you a series, can cost you the playoffs. And right now, even tonight, a bad penalty can cost you a playoff position. You can't be doing that.
It's the bumper-to-bumper seal of approval.
I could not have said it any better. That's such an eloquent statement, and I wish some members, not all, but some members of the hockey community would comprehend it, would really think about what you just laid out there, because it's so... I still think there's that throwback, like, you got to show them, man. We got to stand up for ourselves, and it sounds good, and there probably are times where there are ways to attempt to do that, although you've told us many times the best way to do that is beat the team. Find another way to beat them on the scoreboard, and it's vital. In fact, what's interesting is it's maybe a lot of the story for both the Wild and for the Timberwolves. You know, Anthony Edwards has an obsession with officials, with technical fouls, and they ain't going to beat the Lakers if he's consumed with that aspect of things. They won't. Mike Conley said as much with us earlier today, and in this case, same with the Wild, any hockey team, but certainly we're interested in the Wild, that it sounds good to say we got to get a couple people to rough them up after they rough our player up, and in the end, that might be a penalty that is the difference between winning and losing.
That's so true, and I have to tell you, guys that have been in the playoffs really understand that, because they know every game is just a big battle.
Yes.
And you expect to be hurt. You expect to play with pain. You expect that you're not going to be at the best of health like you've been during the season. It's just something, the price you're willing to pay to get there. That's why we've said for years, I said it in the 80s, I said it, I think, before anybody else. I said it's the toughest trophy to win, because you're going through 4 rounds. The minimum could be 16 games, but more likely it's going to be in the mid-20s to 27 for you to win a championship. Playing at an intensity that you can't imagine playing that game in and game out during the regular season. And playing with injuries that you say, is this ever going to go away? And you don't care. You just, you've got, your focus is, we got to find a way to win. I got to do whatever I can to make us win. And everybody has that attitude. And you go out there and you put everything on the line. And you're not worried about getting beat up. You're not worried about getting hurt. You're only worried about losing a game. That's the most important thing. This is not a macho man contest. This is it's a grueling, bashing, intense display of talent and willingness to put up with stuff and what you have to do to win. And that's what you feel in the locker room. That's what you feel. I said, ours is a physical game. McElroy yesterday, what he went through, I said I was more nervous for McElroy yesterday to win, because I want him to win so badly, than I was in the Stanley Cup, when I was playing the Stanley Cup, because I knew the price I would have to pay to win. I was willing to accept whatever it took for me to help the team win the game. But I don't know what he was going through. and it's just the fact, whatever game you're playing, you have to persevere through agony so many times and through sometimes physical pain. And it's mind over matter. Your mind is so important. The thing that I want to say most of all is what it does for you. It teaches you how to develop your mind, the power of your mind. That's, people don't realize that it's happening to them, but it happens to them when they're in that locker room, when they're on that ice. How powerful your mind becomes to get you to play at the level you have to play at to win.
The between the ears stuff, man. It's just so
powerful,
incalculable how important that it is. There's no question about that. And We've talked about it. I mean, the best way to exact revenge on the guy you hate on the other team because he's cheap shot at a teammate or whatever is to beat him. That's what's going to hurt him, man. And more than physically, right? That's what's going to hurt him mentally. We beat your ass. We won the game, or we won the series.
Dan, I told you a story about Cicerelli playing in the junior game, and he was playing against L. Secord, who was playing for Hamilton. Cicerelli's playing for London, and it was a big game, and they had this hatred going from junior to pro. That's people don't understand that. And I when I was doing some research on him because I wanted Cicerelli real bad, I called this newspaper man, this John Harrington, who was writing for the London paper, and I says, "Tell me a little about Cicerelli." He says, "Louis, the best story I'm going to give you." And he said it was a big game, and Cicerelli was playing against Secord, and they were going at it all game long. And Cicerelli got the biggest goal that you could get. And he came down to the newspaper the next day, he says, because they had a picture of him in the paper scoring the goal, and Secord was behind him. And he says, "I need that photo, a glossy photo of it." He said, gave it to him, and he wrote on it, "Isn't this your man, dummy, that you should be checking?" And mailed it to him.
There you go. There it is.
That's what it is.
That's the ultimate. That's right. There's no comeback to that, right? No.
Yeah, it's not that Secord could beat him up.
Yes.
He just, that hurt more than anything that Secord could do to him.
Good way to finish up today. Enjoy the hockey tonight, my friend. We will chat next week, hopefully talking playoffs.
All right, look forward to it.
Thanks, Luigi. That is Lou Nanne, brought to you by Kemp's with some really, really profound hockey wisdom. Half hour yet to go. We've got a late-breaking ode to a dead guy to discuss, among other things. The rest.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
To the one. Twin Cities sports statue ideas has been kind of a recurring theme on today's program. Our hope that the statue inflation that's taken place in and around Target Field, we might be able to spread the statue wealth to other teams, other franchises, which has not happened, or even in the college level as well. How about this one? Mike Lynn getting his pocket picked by Jimmy Johnson. So that would be kind of like a symbolic one because that didn't literally happen, but it figuratively happened. But in the statue, you could have the two of them together with Jimmy Johnson smiling, that Jimmy Johnson smile. The hair would be no harder in the statue than it was in real life.
That'd be the easy part.
The easy part. But he's got his hand in the back right-handed pocket of Mike Lynn. That'd be pretty good, actually. In fact, that would be very good. Now, this kind of negativity I don't get. Can we get a statue of Gobert guarding Luka? Wow.
Well, you know what? If they got it from the possession before the three-pointer, you would have seen him stopping Luka. I don't know how to break it to you. And Jaden McDaniels was supposed to double-team him.
He didn't do it.
He didn't. It's going to be a long week for me, I think.
Because it's a long way to the first game. You're right. I mean, it's a whole week of anticipation and coverage. And we have a lot of good stuff, I think, planned all the way through it.
Tom Crean tomorrow, we should remind people.
Crean tomorrow. Maybe Sam Mitchell Thursday. If we can't get Sam, maybe we'll try to get Mitch Lawrence. And then, don't we have something Friday as well? Or am I wrong?
We could have Mike Trudell Friday for the Lakers version of it.
Yeah, right. That's true. By the way, Mike Conley joined us earlier in the show. Very good conversation with him between 3:30 and 4. That'll be available via podcast after the fact with some very, I think, honest comments earlier in the day challenging Anthony Edwards. Basically saying Anthony has got to figure this out between the ears. They're going to come at him. He's got to handle it. It's time for him to handle it. And when I asked him if he had any, concerns about how you decide how blunt you get, I loved his answer, which was basically,
I don't care.
I don't care anymore. I've been doing this. This is my 18th year. I don't care if it's considered a little politically incorrect. It's not anything I'm not saying to him directly, which I believe in his case. So that'll be available to you a little later after the program.
And now it's time for Ode to a Dead Guy.
Well, they're in the pantheon of major league game show host names. It probably doesn't get any bigger or more creative when it comes to the name itself than Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale, who apparently passed away today at the age of 91 years old. Once upon a time, he was a rock and roll DJ and a good buddy of Elvis Presley. But he eventually went on to host TV game shows, including Tic-Tac-Doe, Gambit, and High Rollers. He was in the business for 74 years. How about that name? Couldn't be real.
Unbelievable name.
And he said a long time ago, when I was a kid in Jackson, Tennessee, one of my playmates, Jimmy McCord, couldn't say Winston, which is my given name. He had a speech impediment, and it came out sounding like Winky. So Winston turned into Winky, and then I got into the business, and Wink it was. It served me well. Can you get any better TV name than Wink Martindale?
It's made for showbiz.
And that's the backstory, which is pretty remarkable. He recorded for something called Dot Records, which was a big label a long time ago. Pat Boone was on that label. His second wife, Sandy, whom he married in 1975, dated Presley on and off until shortly before the singer wed Priscilla Wagner in 1967. And she appeared as a dancer in Viva Las Vegas. Elvis is responsible for me marrying Wink, she said in a 2015 interview. When Martindale said he was from Tennessee, I said, he must be a nice guy because I love the state, loved all the guys. I loved everything in the state of Tennessee because Elvis was such a wonderful part of my life. So he worked in the South, hosting radio shows, a popular TV kids show in Memphis, Tennessee. Spent some time, hanging with Elvis, having Elvis on occasionally. He hosted a show that was very American Bandstand-like called Top 10 Dance Party in Memphis. Think of this, he got Elvis on that local show. Now, Elvis probably wasn't as big then, but the rest is history. He eventually was granted a transfer to Los Angeles' KHJ, radio and TV in 1959. Hosted another local dance party program, this one from Santa Monica, Florida. Became interested in hosting a TV game show in 1965 when he learned that Password's Alan Ludden would go in 2 days a week, tape 5 shows one day, 5 shows the next, and the other 5 days play golf. And he said, that's a pretty good gig. I might want to try that. And eventually he landed at NBC on a show called What's That Song? Then that was the first of the 20 game shows, 20, that he hosted over the course of his career. Tic-Tac-Toe for a decade, 2 shows for Chuck Barris, How's Your Mother-in-Law, which I don't remember, and Dream Girl is 67, which I don't remember either. A star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2006. Wink Martindale, gone, but in the game show genre, most assuredly, not at all forgotten. He had the big head of hair, too. Yeah, I guess if you're a game show host, you got to have a big head of hair, don't you?
You got to have presence.
Yeah, you do have to have that.
You got to have a presence, and he would announce it with that. When was the last time he did something?
I can't tell from this story because I think it's been a while.
Yeah,
I think he's been out of it for quite some time. But said here, well, he's 91, claimed he worked in the business for 74 years, so I don't even know if that math adds up, because that would mean if he started at 17, he worked until he died, which I don't think is true. But whatever, regardless, he was there for more than 15 minutes. And I could see where that schedule would appeal, right? Where you say, well, tape a bunch of shows, intense days for the 2 days you're working.
Yes.
And then you got the rest of the days to go play golf or whatever in California.
We'll see you on Monday.
Yeah, that's a pretty good gig, isn't it?
And I'm guessing he made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah, I would think that.
Because once you get good at it and you become the guy, you keep getting new gigs. You've got the back end money for syndication, I'm sure. You get smarter about your contracts. I bet he did very well for himself. I bet his estate will go on sale.
Yes.
Krager's probably partied at his estate.
It wouldn't be shocking. Yeah, you had mentioned that we could try to get Kilborn this week, especially given it's the Lakers. I got to believe he'll be trying to go to those games. Yeah, his hometown team. I'm sure Johnny will catch up with him as well. Wink Martindale's show replaced David Letterman's morning show. The show called Las Vegas Gambit. It was on NBC from 1980 to 1981. The name itself is gold. And interestingly, I didn't know the backstory, I guess, until today, that it was a friend of his that basically, because you can't really host a game show identifying yourself as Winky Martindale, can you? That's not going to fly. But Wink
is perfect.
Wink is perfect, isn't it?
And the one syllable's followed up by a lot of them in the last name.
The name itself seems tongue in cheek. Like, can you try to come up with the most cliched game show host name you could? Because how about Wink Martindale?
He was born to do it.
He's absolutely born to do it and had a heck of a run. We'll wrap up the program. Remind you what else you missed earlier today and what we have coming up.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Rest of the week, don't go.
Show wrap presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper show wrap.
I want to start our final segment of the show today with thoughts and prayers to Zeev Buium fans out there who are going to have a hard night tonight. They were all excited about seeing him tonight, and they got the bad news. Was it announced officially earlier today or last night? I don't know when
morning,
it was.
I think is when I saw it at Morning Skate.
That he will not, the Wild have decided not to use him tonight for, I think, some pretty sensible reasons, and I know that's created a tremendous amount of outrage in the Zeev community. And I'm sorry. Thoughts and prayers is all I can say.
Will he at least get like an interview with Kevin Gorg or Anthony LaPanta? Can they put him on between periods or something?
That would make sense, actually. That'd be a good opportunity.
Put him on the desk?
Here's the in a sense, this does add pressure to the Wild, okay? They might have to need to win tonight if they don't get cooperation from the other two teams they're battling, which would take the pressure off. But if they lose tonight without using him and another defenseman screws up, leading to the game-winning goal, then the Zeev terrorists will be completely out of control by tomorrow morning, or later tonight. So I hope that doesn't add too much pressure to the Wild room, as we say, the dressing room. All the action tonight, Wild Ducks and the Fan, beginning at the usual pregame show, 6:45. And we will, I guarantee you this, if they wrap things up tonight, we'll start the show with Minnesota Wild returning to the postseason. We'll know right then, who they're playing, right?
Yeah.
So we can even get that puck rolling, so to speak. Tomorrow's show will also include a Wednesday regular, Pat Kessler, and an occasional contributor to this program, going back largely to the NBA postseason a year ago, Tom Crean, who, of course, as most of you know, coached Anthony Edwards at the University of Georgia. Crean back with us to help preview Wolves, Los Angeles Lakers. And I am I don't know where you are on this, but I am firmly in the camp that says you have to make Rudy Gobert work in this series. And
make him work offensively?
As in, make him be a part of the solution in this series.
Got it.
That doesn't mean for stretches you can't go small ball. In fact, you probably have that ability given how small they are up front. But I still think what Rudy has gotten better at is exploiting huge height advantages at the rim for dunks. I honestly think the notion that this is an occasion where I think you have to try to dictate to the other team and not go with the old, you can't play them. They're too small, you just can't play them. You have to play them off the floor, that cliche.
Well, that's been the commentary the last 3 days.
Yes.
I mean, 3 years for sure.
3 years and 3 days.
But all week when people were looking at this series was, I don't think the Wolves have it because I don't trust Gobert. It's the same classic lazy.
Do the Lakers have enough people who can hit threes to pull Rudy away? I don't know that they do. We do know they have 3 very good scorers.
Yeah.
And they got a couple of people who can hit from outside. I think he's been too important, and he is still too important defensively to what they do. And he's been an effective, sneaky, good offensive piece.
Yeah.
Albeit, we know the schedule's been softer down the stretch.
Right.
But I still think there's some lessons to be learned, even against bad opponents.
If he shoots free throws like he did in the postseason last year, and for much of this season, his free throw shooting has improved. I think they'll be in good shape there. My plea would be, you mentioned it with Conley. That's where I thought you were going when you said make Luka work on defense, which you, of course, have to do. But what you need to understand is, and I think talking specifically to Naz Reid, because I have a vivid memory of him being so casual with the ball and surprised that Luka was just going to give up and try to get a steal. He's going to just try to back tap it away. He doesn't want to guard you.
No.
So just keep the dribble, the handle tight for a couple of dribbles, and then you'll be fine. But don't let him bail himself out with a high-risk, stupid maneuver because you're so casual. That's for Jaden. That's for Julius.
Yes.
That's for Naz. That's for Ant, quite frankly.
No question. And a lot of this does fall on Anthony Edwards. There's no doubt. That was a lot of what we talked about earlier with Mike Conley between 3:30 and 4. Conley basically saying that this is the postseason where Edwards has to think. He has to play not just with his physical ability, but with his basketball IQ. And he's got to be up to it. It's a fair question. He still has to prove that he can be up to it. because the Lakers are going to try to take the ball out of his hands. There's no question he's going to get. There's going to be an effort to frustrate him physically and with officials and every other way, and he's got to get past that. That's a significant hurdle for this team if they want to knock off the Lakers, the 3 seed. Largely, it's going to have to start there.
Second part he said in that sentence was right, though, too. We've got to make it easier for him by hitting shots.
Yes, no
Jaden's
question.
going to get the corner 3. You know he's going to get it.
Well, and you'd like to see Jaden. We've seen Jaden evolve offensively, right? So that because part of why I think Luka could cheat is that's where Jaden always was.
Yep.
Now we're seeing Jaden move off of that, or instead of settling, driving to the basket and making something happen. He's going to have to show some of that versatility in the playoffs that he really didn't last year, didn't seem ready for this time around. So we'll have to see. So there's 2 play-in games tonight for the 7 seeds in each conference. And then tomorrow, I mean, the big one tonight that everybody's going to be paying attention to, obviously, is Golden State hosting Memphis.
Correct.
Because I guess, and I didn't even realize this till today, Curry is 0-3 in play-ins.
Oh, interesting.
Never won a play-in.
Yeah, I never knew that.
I like their chances tonight because I think Memphis is kind of screwed up.
Will that affect his first ballot Hall of Fame status? Will that go into the hopper? Does Lavelle know that?
Yeah. Well, it could be vindication for the Meerkat, David Kahn, for not taking him in the draft.
Because the Meerkat's been talking about the play-in for 20 years.
He was ahead of his time. There's no question. Did I mention? I mentioned Crean. Kessler will be tomorrow. We've got a number of other guests moving forward throughout the week. We'll get to Russo, obviously, before this week is done. Will the Twins break yesterday's all-time attendance low record?
We know it's not good
at Target Field. The weather, it's sunnier, less wet. It's still chilly. I don't think it's as blustery as it was yesterday, though.
Yeah, it's like 50 right now.
So it's so it might be threatened again tonight. And apparently we had all the pitchers out on learning how to throw to first base.
What happened to our spring training fundamentals? We heard so much about them.
We did. 2 pitchers committed errors. Again, yesterday, missing the first baseman.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And you can see a bunch of them in the middle of the field and some pregame duties. We'll see if that helps as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will talk to you tomorrow beginning at 3. Fan on Demand, right around the corner.
Obviously, it's it's frustrating.
We know it's not good baseball.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
You want the best for your child. K-12 can help them gain the skills they need to reach their full potential while giving you the support you need to get them there. K-12-powered schools are tuition-free, accredited online public schools for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their state-certified teachers make online learning interactive and engaging, allowing your child to learn at their pace from the safety of home. Join the more than 3 million families who have chosen K-12. Go to k12.com/podcast today to learn more. That's k12.com/podcast.